Hi, I'm Tintin Wisniewski from the Hoover Institution. Hoover's Career Task Force on K-12 education, with the help of some friends, has attempted to project what American education might look like in the year 2030. By that time, today's newborn will become college freshmen. The task of looking so far ahead while refreshing is also quite formidable. We invite you to join us in this predictive video presentation in search for solutions to the challenges that American education faces in the years ahead. For more information about this project, please visit our website at americaneducation2030.com. Bill Evers is a research fellow at the Hoover Institution, where he specializes in education policy, school curriculum, and accountability. He shows why today's push for national education standards will falter by 2030 and be replaced by an array of high-quality academic standards.
So the most interesting thing, as we look back now in 2030, and we look back over the past 2 decades, is that now we have a half dozen rigorous sets of academic content standards listing what the children should know and be able to do, what they should have been learning as they go along. And this is different because 20 years ago, we had 50 state standards, and we had an attempt at unitary national standards that collapsed, that fell apart. And why did it fall apart? Well, there were sort of 4 reasons. The first was the standards were too vague. And because all these 50 states were in different places, the states preferred, through consensus decision-making, that the standards be vague to maybe accommodate where they were, but that undermined the quality of the standards. The second reason was that the standards were really not rigorous enough. They were not tough enough. They were too easy. And this is because a lot of the states did not think that they were really ready to match the level of achievement of students in some of the most successful countries, like Singapore. Third reason was that in this course of this standards writing, a lot of progressive education, learn through play teaching techniques were embedded, were kind of imposed on the standards. And this is because of the influence of the popularity of these in ed schools and in various subject matter lobbying groups and so forth. So there was kind of a rebellion against this in some of the more cultural conservative states, especially in the South and in the Rocky Mountain states. And lastly, there was also another kind of rebellion. Too much centralization was something that people kind of felt in the aftermath of the struggle over national medical care around 2010. So what happened as these national unitary standards cracked up is people turned to a kind of bottom-up phenomenon. People drew on existing academic standards, such as the ones for advanced placement, the ones for the International Baccalaureate program. There was a very content-rich program called Core Knowledge that was turned to, and the best of these 50 state standards that were there at the time. And all of this dynamic and sustaining this dynamic was helped by 3 new things that happened over the time period of the last 2 decades, but it's towards the beginning. The first was there were new parent activist groups, and these were funded by foundations. The foundations had been supporting things like mayoral control, merit pay, and so forth, and they saw that there was a gap of having parent groups that supported rigorous high standards and supported high-quality schools. Second thing that came into play was that there were new teaching materials. And so there were teaching materials that publishers began to be bundlers. They were putting together modules on different lessons. They were drawing from the print media, from software, from video, and they were bundling together field-tested, proven materials, and this allowed support for these differing standards, sets of standards. Lastly, there were new testing capacities, and these also gave flexibility. These were computer adaptive testing, so They would take the student precisely at the level that he or she was, and they would branch out. They would say, okay, here's a more difficult item. You succeed or fail, and it found your exact level. It could be used both to help the teacher with diagnosing problems that the student had to address in the classroom, and also to hold the teacher and the student and the school accountable for performance. So performed a lot of good functions, and it lowered the temperature on some of the previous complaints on things like teaching of the test. So these parents had the passion to have high standards. The tests could be matched to the different multiple standards, and the teaching materials also could be suited to the different standards. So now we had, as a result of all these phenomena, a terrific thing. We had academic rigor. This is what we enjoy today, 2030. Academic rigor at the level of the Asian tiger countries like Singapore and South Korea, together with a delivery system that fits very well, very comfortably with our American traditions of decentralism, of localism, and we haven't somehow been ensnared by mediocre national standards that wouldn't allow us to move forward and improve the lives of our children.